Today's topic, to blog or not to blog, that is the question. Bringing a little bit of my acting background into the title there. So we are indeed setting the stage on the age-old question of blogging's relevance. And this actually came up in our community, which is why we're covering this, whether people should or should not blog. It was the done thing back in the day. James, do you want to talk a little bit of brief history on when and why blogging was the go-to?
Yeah, it was, my God, I literally remember how I had to create a blog from scratch for my masters, right? Before WordPress, before all these fancy tools that are around here now, I had to create a blog from scratch. That was the done thing in 2003, right? So blogging wasn't even really around then. How mental is that? So fast forward a couple of years, then WordPress came out and all these other things so you could blog quite easily. So it became fashionable 2007, 2005, 7, 8 onwards, I think it was, to get everything out there. But yeah, it's been around a long time now, and it was cool because it was online, it was the internet, it was kind of sexy. So everyone wanted to read and see what's going on.
Do you think it became more fashionable after Facebook came out, maybe? Just a random thought.
Potentially. It was still being found by Google. I think there's a lot of people could access more links more readily and things are shared far more easier, I think, is what happened. But yeah, I think in the glory years were the mid-2000s to early 2010s, I think, when blogging was important to help you get traffic before YouTube and all these other video, social media things came out, and which was now, as everyone's onto video, people have forgotten about blogging, but it's still a very important aspect of your business. However, that's kind of what we're going to share a few things about today, is whether people should blog or not blog.
Yeah, well, exactly. It is an important part, but if you are a personal trainer and you are earning less than a certain amount, in our opinion, you should probably not be blogging because you've got other things to think about. James, you want to talk about that in terms of like where this sits on our revenue ladder?
Yeah, sure. So this came from Saskia, so calling Saskia Ford out in our ladder, and she was like talking about us and how, look, where do I want to do blogs, I want to do YouTube, and I was thinking it's great. However, we need to think about this. So in terms of what we see things on our black belt revenue ladder, we see this as a purple belt to brown belt type marketing piece. Why is that? Because it takes a lot of time and effort and technical capabilities to get your blogs found. So what we call purple belts, earning less than $15,000 a month, but more than $5,000 a month, okay? And the reason you need to have this in place is because you need to have a good website that's fast, that can load, you have all the technical abilities set up for it, so you can get your blog found when it is being written. Now, this is not including your ability to write as a trainer, and whatever you do, don't just use ChatGPT now to write your blogs for you, because every man and his dog is doing that, and Google is torching your website as a result, so you can't do that, right? It's really important you can't do that and get that done. It's got to be authentic, it's got to be new content to be found. But I was like doing some searching beforehand, and if you're watching us on YouTube, you can probably see this now. But one of the biggest reasons why I don't encourage people who are white belts or blue belts to start blogging is this. If you look on the screen here, this is from Ahrefs, by the way, which is the number one authority on SEO and website content in the world. They've got some fancy ass software here now. But from all their data, they found that 90.63% of all pages in their index get zero traffic from Google. And of that, 5.29% of them get less than 10 visits per month. Can I just emphasize this? Less than 10 visits per month. When you write a blog, sometimes it takes you, if you're new to it, days to write. What is the point of doing a blog that gets read once, maybe if it's lucky in a world of content that's so readily available, to be never found ever again, right? That's a huge and frightening statistic. Think about your blog. If you're a fitness professional who've got a website, just go into the analytics if you set it up. How many website visits does your website get to the blog? I'm guaranteed most of them are going to be in that 91%. Absolutely guaranteed, because you're not writing for, we'll go to it in a second now, but there's got to be user intent, and you haven't got the technical capabilities of the SEO stuff to get it found in the first place.
Yeah. Andrew, what's your experience? You sat there all silent in the background. I feel bad. What's your experience with blogging?
Hey, I remember back in the day, it was, as James said, I think it was around 2005, 06 when I started blogging, because I had this website but had no one coming to it. So you've got to write blogs was the order of the day, the instructions I got from a mentor that I had back then. And so I was spending, as James said, days writing content. And in those days, I wasn't that particularly good at writing. It was a terrible and horrible experience. I'm almost rocking in the seat thinking about it. But I would write, and I would then get better. Like any skill, the more you put into it, the better you get. But there is a significant amount of time and energy and expense put into writing it, which is why it's a great strategy to employ. But as we say, we think it's a purple belt.
Was it working for you back then, before things changed significantly?
It did work. It did help me get found, but I just find these numbers amazing. And it would be, to be honest, it would be around those types of. It wasn't hundreds of people. It was the tens to maybe hundreds of people finding me. But back then, that was great. But these days, there's better uses of our time, and I think just in quickly, James, as an example ourselves, you did an exercise looking at all the blog posts you've written over the years, and how many of them did you find were just weren't performing?
Over 200. So we did a massive clean. So it's the other thing in terms of websites and getting found in here. You've got to do data sweep cleans to like completely clear and show Google that you want to be only valuable content on your website. So I looked at it back in July this year and I was like, oh my God, there's this many pages that don't reflect who we are. They're not being found. There's no user intent. So I just deleted them all. Now, I did a lot more to it than that. I just had to redirect traffic to it to make sure they were still pointing in the right direction, but I got rid of them for very good reason, because it wasn't working. There was nothing here. And again, if you on this graph, if you can see on YouTube here, like from the page, look at this. Just over 1.04% of people get 100 to 1,000 visits a month, right, for their blog posts. That is insane, right? That is absolutely insane. Now, when we're talking about this, this is not us blowing smoke up our own arses. I'm going to, again, on YouTube, if you can log into the video and see this now, there's just 3 examples of our blogs that if you type in search and keywords, we come into. I never thought we'd be in the top 1%. I never thought about it because it just hasn't occurred to me before. It's just stuff that I knew technically that I had to do. And I just did it.
Well, it shows the value of good SEO, right?
It does good SEO, and obviously we've been writing a lot over the years for the magazine, for stuff as well, but it's the technical side of things that's the most important, as opposed to the good content's important, but it's doing the technical side of things. So I'll give you an example. If you type in, is jogging bad for you on Google, look who comes up, we're coming up top, right? Same with like another one, it's a big one for us, it's like aerobic threshold. If you type in aerobic threshold, not only are we top, Google have done what they call their search engine results side of things. We're looking at the graphs on the right hand side. We've got a whole bit of paragraph at the top, and that's our top blog, so it looks good. And again, if you type in strength standards to aim for, we're top as well. That's 3 of a lot of other blogs. So we get most of our traffic organically to Strength Matters. I think that's really important to share this now. We get over a considerable amount of traffic through our blog posts that drive things and leads, which is why we don't have to advertise so much on Facebook, on TikTok and stuff like that. We don't need to. We get organic traffic, which is where you should be aiming for as a trainer, is to nail this free content first and then pour gasoline on the fire afterwards once you're doing paid traffic, once you've got it right. So just something to bear in mind. It's really important we want to share with you guys today. We're not just sharing this to say you shouldn't blog and there's better ways. Yes, you should blog at the right time, the right place, when you're a purple belt or brown belt in our black belt revenue ladder system in the business school.
Yep, and everything is systematized on your website to get you ranking in Google. What are some of the other, you've got a few other stats you want to share from Ahrefs, have you, James?
Yeah, I just want to share a couple of reasons. So again, we're just going to back this up by data and show why people don't get found. And this is the number one reason. The topic of the page has no long-term traffic potential. So a lot of people just go, I'm going to blog about this today, blah, 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 blah. But guess what? People don't care. People don't care. And they're not searching for it. So you're not getting found because people don't care.
That people are searching for. That's the important thing, right?
That if you want to start a blog off, it's got to be that. You've got to be, people are searching for it. Then over time, you can write more stuff about what you want to write about to draw people in because you've built this trust. A lot of great bloggers have done that, and over time it builds, but you've got to build something that people want to find to begin with. So that's the number one topic, is no page long-term traffic value. Again, and the ties in as well, the page doesn't match search intent. What are people searching for? Like, in terms of jogging and running, is jogging bad for you? That is the number one thing that people type in when it comes to running, right? We've done the analysis and we've looked at that's what people are searching for. So we've built a blog all around it to draw people in, because we're trying to answer questions that they have answers to. And that's what Google's about. It's trying solving these problems and answering questions for them. And the fourth reason, again, I'll share on the screen, is the page hasn't been indexed or isn't indexed. That is one of the biggest thing I'm seeing across all personal trainer websites and gym websites who don't rank in Google at all, is Google doesn't even know they exist.
Simply. Explain this one simply for us.
It basically means that Google doesn't know you exist. You're basically standing in the middle of a forest where no one's around, right? That's the easy way to say it. And this is where it can be quite easy to do. You've just got to put a fancy bit of code on your website and link Google to your website together. But guess what? Most trainers don't know about that. They think you can just build the website and away it goes. But also, most website design agencies don't do this for you either. They assume you're going to do it. But that is an exercise that will take you 10 minutes. But it's probably the most important thing to do, is to connect it. And by doing
it might
that,
take you 10 minutes, James, but people like me.
No, but honestly, even for you, honestly, if you just go to Google Search Console and follow the instructions in Google Search Console, and then it'll do. That's it.
It is relatively straightforward, Josh. I was able to do it, and I've got an example actually of a client I had back in the day who was spending. They were spending hours on content. It was great content. It was relevant, but we were scratching our heads. Why wasn't it getting any traction? And they'd spent thousands, a good £2,000-3,000 on their website from this glossy website design company, and it looked a fantastic site. But when we did the simple searches on the screen, there, the site dot and then their website name, that Google wasn't indexing them. They weren't found. So they'd spent hundreds of hours, literally hundreds of hours, on creating content, but it just wasn't being found. When it's switched on, it was night and day. So that's why it's important to be aware of this for sure.
For the technical geeks out there, just to say two things to be aware of. The things you've got to think about is, do you have a site map, right? Do you have a site map that Google can crawl to know when pages are new, that goes straight to that link where it crawls your whole website quickly, as opposed to going through individual things? That's the first thing. And the second thing is we have something called a robot.text file, right? Where it tells Google which pages to search and index and which ones to not. A lot of people have that as default do not search, right? So if you're thinking, oh my God, my website isn't on top of Google for number one, or it can't be found, those are the two things you look at. Do you have a site link map or sitemap link? And do you have a robot.text file that allows you to be searched in the first place? So there you go.
Well, there you go. Fantastic. So to blog or not to blog, that is the question. James, I'm going to set you a 20-second challenge to sum up for me. Go.
Yes, blog if you're earning about $15,000 a month, have a high-quality website, and you know the technical expertise in terms of SEO, know anything else.
There we go. That's it for today. Please don't forget to rate, review and subscribe. And if you want to find out what's holding you back from growing your fitness business, go to strengthmatters.com/quiz.